Hey everybody, Spider here, the Coming Soon podcast, of course. Today being joined by Jody Dean. My man, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Spider. Thank you so much for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
No, by all means, bro. I know I've been following you for a minute. This movie, bro. I mean, before we get into the movie itself, Mallet, of course, love the name. I mean, I can only wait. But what got you into this position right now, man? I know earlier we talked a bit. I mean, you've been YouTubing for a while, so what got you into making films?
Yeah, I've been doing music since I was a kid, and it was my like it was my goal in life to make it.
Oh, I think I lost you, bro. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I think.
All right, we lost each other for a second there. So in my mid-20s, man, I got my first record deal offered to me, and I didn't sign the contract. The lawyers were looking at it. And like a week later, I got shot in the right side of my chest coming out of a nightclub in Ybor City, Tampa, Florida.
Wow, bro.
And after that happened, I decided not to sign the contract. I decided not to pursue music the way I had always wanted to. It was just like a big eye opener that maybe I was in the wrong field and in the wrong places. And I started thinking to myself, what's something else I've always wanted to do? And it was make films, make movies. But that seems like a unobtainable goal living in Florida. Um, I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't have any experience. So I just bought a camera. I linked up with people that had cameras and we started learning through trial and error, making short films. And I really loved it so much. I, I dove in 100% head first and started writing feature films. And one of them was so good that somebody ended up buying the script, turning it into a movie. And, that movie got made and I ended up selling some more scripts. And I'm like, well, obviously I got something here. People are paying me
Yeah,
for,
bro.
what I'm writing. And it's so early on that like, damn, maybe this is it. This is, I thought it was music. Maybe it's movies. And long story short, YouTube blew up and I kind of pushed the movie stuff to the side. And I was like, I really want to do this. I'm established now. Like everything's good with my channel. I'm just going to try and take the time to make this movie. And I took about 6 months out of my life, dude. I made it and now it's taken off.
Man, and I mean, of course, unfortunately, it took you getting shot for you to make
Yeah.
this change. But I mean, it seems to be working. One of the things you brought up earlier, man. Of course, we talked a little bit, and you talked about you being a YouTuber for going on 5 years. Now, when it comes to social media, bro, I mean, of course, a lot of people, whether it being on YouTube, on Instagram, or whatever social media, you can buy followers, bro. And
Yeah.
and I get it, and people, I'm that guy that I'll follow, and I'm like, okay, half of these are like robots, and and I mean, it's one thing if you have 1,000 followers, but if nobody's commenting and nobody's chiming in, if you don't have that kind of reaction, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? But you do,
That's
people
true.
interact and actually follow you and respond.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, the only thing I can say about mine is they a lot of the people that are following Mallet, they are supporters of mine from YouTube. However, it seems to be that they're horror lovers and they're loving what they know of Mallet so
Yeah,
far. What they know from the trailer, what they see that I've posted. It's like they're slowly following. They're falling in love with this, but they're also following it. So faithfully. I mean, I was just telling you a moment ago, before we started recording here, that there hasn't been a day where we haven't sold any copies, but there's been days where we've sold so many copies that, like it just almost brings tears to my eyes. Cause even though I do have a big following, I don't sell $1,000 worth of merch a month. Like, like nobody. I didn't think that we would sell as many DVDs as we have in this
yeah,
short period of time. Like we're at like 2,200 right now, and it's only
damn.
been out for like maybe the pre-orders have only been open for like a month and a
Wow,
week.
bro.
So yeah, that's pretty incredible, man. I mean, no studio backing. I did every job on this thing, which you'll probably get to, but It's an incredible feeling, man. Yeah, no robots, all real people. It's growing pretty fast, and that's what I was kind of shooting for. I was hoping that I was going to create a character that would kind of have like a cult like horror following.
Yeah. No, yeah. You see, and for myself, I mean, I usually attend a lot of conventions. I was at one earlier today with my kids, which made it even better, bro. I mean, the fact that they got to hang out with dad and be nerds for a while, man. I mean, they're good kids, you know. So both, I mean, we were out there. But one of the things about a lot of these movies is the actors always say, like, you know what, when the movie first came out, like, it didn't make a lot of noise. It
Yeah,
took years for TV or somebody to post it, and it's like, boom, now it's like all over the place, you know. One of the things,
right.
the reason I bring that up is because one of the things I've noticed is that it's kind of the opposite now because indie films are so hot and people are on it, you know, or horror in general. It's if people love it, they're gonna stick with it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I am so engulfed in indie horror films. I own hundreds of them. I've watched thousands
Oh
of
yeah.
them. I've been doing this for my entire life. Before I ever started about thinking about making them, that was the reason why. Is because I had been watching them my whole life, and I always said, "Man, I want to do this. This looks fun." Um, and being self-taught, man, I've learned so much about how to do it that now I don't have to wait for anybody to say, "Hey, let's go," or "Oh, I'll give you the money." I don't need you to tell me that, man. Like if I wanted to start making a movie tomorrow, I know how to do special effects makeup. I know how to frame, I know how to film
Yeah.
and edit and do lighting and everything. So I mean, and obviously write too, because you know, as I mentioned earlier, I've sold some scripts and stuff like that. So yeah, dude, what's cool about doing horror, especially indie horror, is, you know, like Mallet's going to be on Prime.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of horror films I've seen on Prime, on
Bro.
Tubi, on Screenbox, and there's some really great ones. Then there's some that you watch and you're like, man, this has no business being on TV.
Oh yeah.
I watched one last night and it was fun. I even looked it up and it said something like it made like close to $500,000. And I was like, oh my God, like Mallet just crushes this, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. But it got enough, it got the right publicity, man. And it has a cult like following, man. It looks like it was shot on a camera, you know, that your dad would have had in the 90s, you know?
Man, and of course, you know, one of the things about that is I've noticed that a lot of filmmakers are actually going towards that. They're going towards like
Yeah.
old film. I'm not a I don't make film, so I don't know what the word is, but they're going towards old cameras that play that sketchy type, you know, old feeling. Man, is that? I mean, what are
Yeah.
you guys shooting with?
Yeah. You know, and I like that, dude. Hey, listen, don't get me wrong. I think more of my, and it's not even criticized because I'll watch that film again. Like, even though like I was watching it and I was like, I can't believe this is on TV. I mean, that's
Yeah,
awesome. It's inspirational. Um, you could tell that the person filming it might have been their first day ever picking up a camera. There was like, hey, let's just have some fun. Let's make a horror film. And I love that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, man, you know, I shoot with these cinematic cameras, bro. These DSLR cameras
yeah.
are so cinematic nowadays. They're so affordable. I shoot with the 70D, the 7D, the the 50, the T3i, the T7, the T7i. I mean, I have all these cameras, dude, and honestly, you get your settings right, you get your lighting right, you go into color correction, and you can make something look like it was shot with the big boy. I mean, I already have seen like, you know, just a more than a dozen films in the last month on, you know, on Prime or on Tubi that I'm like, damn, like we're crushing that quality with, you know, a camera is less than $5,000. So
Yeah. No, yeah. You see, I mean, I've never made film. I mean, when it comes to photography, I've been, you know, shooting photos for years. And like you
yeah.
said, man, I mean, I shot some photos that got printed on magazines, people published in books. And it's
Oh,
just
cool.
like the setting from the contrast from the ISO to the lighting,
Yeah.
man, it was magical.
Yeah.
And, you know, they loved them and they're like, hey, you know what, we'd like to buy these photos off you. And I'm like, dude, like, go ahead, you know, like I
Absolutely.
would have given them away just because I was like, man, the fact that people took that into consideration and they're out there. You know, I actually got the books here published that were published and my photo, my credit. And yeah, it's an awesome feeling, man. But the fact that you can turn those
Yeah.
cameras, which are good cameras, into magic, bro, that's says a lot. Definitely.
Yeah, you really can, man. I mean, you know, I picked up a $700 camera. and I shot this one scene that's in Mallet with it. It's this a dream scene,
Yeah.
and I got it on 24 frames per second. I framed it up. I got the lighting just right. When I went in editing, and by the time I was done editing it, it was just comparable to things that I had seen that had huge budgets, and I was just, blown away. I mean, and at the end of the day, I'm also over here doing it all by myself. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, I've been a part of a few paranormal TV shows now, and one of them's coming out next year. I can't mention the name, but when they filmed with me, it's one of the biggest paranormal. And one moment when we had a break on set, I was looking at some of the cameras they were using, and I was like, "Holy shit! I've been filming Mallet with that."
Nice, bro. I mean,
and they're not that expensive, so
yeah. No,
yeah.
for sure, man. And I mean, what has been one of the biggest problems with you while shooting, man? A lot of times, I know people try to shoot different sceneries, and it's like, man, it's daylight when it's supposed to be nighttime. You know what I mean? Like weather isn't cooperating. So, have you guys had any problems while out filming? Oh, I think I lost you again, brother. You still there?
Yeah, I heard what has been. So I don't know if you want to take it back to that real quick.
No, yeah. I was just gonna say. I mean, have you guys had any problems while shooting because of the weather, the timing? I mean, anything like that?
Dude, we beat it all, man. We beat the whole hurricane season. We got done in just enough time. I think in the beginning we might have had like some windy nights, but we just got really lucky, man. I mean, there wasn't a lot of stuff that I filmed that wasn't usable when it came down to editing. And one thing I did different than a lot of filmmakers do is I edit as I go along. A lot of people, they'll spend 6 months shooting a movie, then 6 months editing it. Every time we would film, I would be in the editing studio like within, an evening. And if it didn't work, I would say, okay, we need to go back and do the same thing tomorrow night. So that way, we could correct it immediately, and, it's still fresh on people's minds. So, we didn't run into any issues like that, thankfully.
Man, that's pretty cool though, man. Now I gotta ask because the title itself, man, the movie. I mean, Mallet. It's one word, bro. And when I first heard it, I was like, Mallet. I said, what about it? Like, and I mean, of course, I already know what it is, but I mean, the fact that it kind of leaves it at that, it leaves you wanting more. I mean, was that the whole reason behind that, or were you just in love with that word?
Well, I guess it's a couple reasons. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I was in love with the word, and especially as a title. I'm in love with those movies that just have one name, man. Hellraiser, Terrifier, Hatchet. When I see that, the one word that really sums up what you're about. But also, I used to have like an antique store and like an antique mall years ago.
Nice.
And one day I was like going through some of that stuff, and I'm like, what kind of weapon can this killer have that I'm creating? And I seen this mallet, and I was like, I've seen horror films where people have used a mallet to kill people, but I've never seen a horror film that is solely about a guy who uses a mallet to kill people. So I was like, that's the dude's name. That's his weapon of choice. That's his name, and let's run it, man. And not only does he have a mallet, he's got a selection of mallets. And I think this trilogy, we're going to go ahead and call it a trilogy because I know it's going to go there, but like part 2 is definitely in the works. 24, 25, you can count on that. They're going to see mallets in a whole different way, man, because I'm doing something crazy. And visually this film's just going to be on steroids, compared to what it is now.
No, you see, and one of the things, because you did release a trailer, like you said, you've been posting images. You're basically giving us a little bit of what's going to happen, but are we going to have to wait to the movie till we actually see like a little bit more?
Yeah. So, I definitely, as I follow horror religiously, I see people usually will drop a couple trailers on people. They'll get a little bit longer as it gets closer to the movie dropping. Yeah. I have been pondering on doing that, or do I leave this suspense there? I tell you, man, as I'm approaching Halloween, I got a few problems here. I I have a haunted house attraction that opens next month on the 22nd in Fort Gaines, Georgia. And you know, I'm doing the YouTube thing. I'm promoting this movie, so if I can get it in, man, and it feels right, I will. But part of me says, do we really need to or not? Because I think we're so close there, and we're seeing what's going on with pre-orders. It's like,
Yeah, bro.
There's something there just besides people's support for me. Like, I think they see the character. Maybe it's like you said, the name is kind of it kind of grips you a little bit. But if I do, it's going to be a surprise. It's going to hit you guys out of nowhere.
No, man. You see, I will say this. A lot of times, especially the big budget films, you know, when they come out, they do they do too many trailers, bro, to where it happens where I go to the movies and I'm like, man, that was a whole movie, you know, and so it kind of takes the fun away from the film, you know. So I kind of like that. The only reason I was asking if you were going to release more was because
you want to see more.
yeah, you know, I wanted to see what's going on. But yeah, but in a sense, yeah, bro, like I'd rather it be like just introductions where it's like, you know, coming soon, you know, next 30 days, or you know what I mean, just kind of leading up to it. But
yeah,
man, I've seen movies where I go and it's like, I always say this, it's like, man, the best part of the movie was the trailer, you know.
You're right. Yeah, there's a lot of times where the trailer hooks me in, and then I see the movie and I'm like, damn, the trailer was better than the movie. You know, they use the best parts in the trailer. And I'll say this, I didn't do that. I used some cool parts in the trailer, but I didn't even touch like none of the good parts, man. So people got a lot to look forward to. And you know, I've talked about this a lot. I've done a few interviews with other people, and I'm not one that will ever gas myself up and blow smoke up my own ass. Like, I've done things before where I'm just like, this is shit. I don't even want to put this out. I want to bury this. I don't want nobody to see this. You know, this film is so good, man. And I don't watch other things and try and say, oh, am I better than this? But I watch so many horror films that sometimes I'm just like, damn, Mallet's fucking good. Yeah. Like, it really is, you know, from the script to the acting to the music. I mean, I scored all the music for this thing. I did 15 pieces of music. That's where the music came in, you know, really helpful for me, having this, you know, lifetime involvement in it. But being a producer and composer, man, like I produced some incredible music for this. The lighting is great. The sound effects. I mean, it just really is such a solid film, dude. I don't think anybody will be disappointed in ordering this movie.
No, man. You see, just earlier today, like I was saying, I was at a Killer Clowns from Outer Space convention, man.
Oh, and, cool.
You know, Grant, the guy that played in the movie, was like, oh, you know, he's been producing his own movies. He's like, you know what? One of the movies that I produced, he said, I started getting into music. I'm a musician part-time. He said it was way cheaper for me to make my own music and put it in the movie. He said, because you got to pay for the rights and you got to pay. And he says, man, that's a lot of money, you know? So it kind of, it worked out for you, man, because yeah, you're able to put some music together and, you know, let's make it happen.
It's true, man. And you know, the movie's going to be on Prime, comes out on Halloween. One thing that happened before that deal was ever, you know, put together, somebody from the network, I'll just say, they got to see, you know, 15 minutes of the work and everything like that. And they were like, what was your budget for this film? Because I told them I didn't have no studio. And I said, well, I have all the equipment. I have all the knowledge. So I basically, you know, got tons of sweat equity in this thing. And they said, well, you got to put a number on it. You know, people are going to want to know. And they said, I'm even curious, what do you think it would have cost you if you had to pay people to make this film? And I said, well, there's no way I could have done this for less than $500,000 if I had to pay somebody to write it, pay somebody to score it, film it, edit it, lighting, special effects, all the actors, location. It's just impossible. And they said, well, that's your budget. And I started thinking, did I just do $500,000 worth of fucking work, bro? Like, that's crazy.
No, you see, I mean, and that's it is crazy because the fact that you're doing it yourself and you're able to make it yourself. I mean, it is hard to put a tag on time. You know, when people ask me like, oh, how much is it going to cost? And I'm like, man, I can't put a price on it. I can't, you know, because it's like, if I do, you ain't going to like it. You know, it's like, doing it. Yeah. I'm doing it to help you out or you just be a good guy and do what I can, you know. But yeah, man, I mean, the fact that
Yeah.
you're able to do it all yourself, I mean, it says a lot, bro. That's a lot of talent. That's a lot of time. I mean, like you said, you have buckets of sweat that I'm sure you
Yeah.
did out there, man. Now, you mentioned Florida, bro. Where about in Florida are you?
Well, right now I'm about 30 minutes from Tampa, and I actually grew up about 30 minutes from here. So, you know, nowadays, man, I spend most of my life in Georgia and Alabama. I have a few houses that are close to my haunted house attraction,
Yes.
and it's just convenient for me, man.
I think I lost you again. Hold on. Give it a second.
Oh, we back. Okay.
There you go.
Got a lot of family in Florida, got a lot of connections down here. So it's easy for me to just kind of stay, you know, in the South, man, doing my thing down here for YouTube, for filming and music and family. So I'm down here right now. My mom, she actually just had open heart surgery.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah. So been checking on her every day, going to visit her and take care of her. And meanwhile, you know, I'm hanging out with the father-in-law and old friends and stuff, and picking up more copies of this movie because, you know, every time we sell 1,000, I put in an order for another 1,000, and my
Yeah.
manufacturer is actually down here. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful how this whole experience has worked. You know.
No, no, for sure, man. Now, of course, you mentioned, you've watched hundreds and thousands of
Yeah.
movies, man. When it comes to indie, are you a fan of media? As far as like this one, it's going to be on DVD. Are you a fan of like VHS and DVD and formats like that?
Bro, I am so obsessed with VHS that it's unreal. And in fact, um, one of my houses is up for sale right now, and as soon as I get rid of that one, the next house I buy, I'm already looking for it, but um I had started to do it in the house that I have, but in the next house I get, I've bought all these old mom and pop VHS neon signs,
Oh,
and
nice.
we're gonna actually have a horror VHS room, man. Just walls, nothing but horror, old posters, old signs, blockbuster stuff, mom and pop stuff, and yeah, man, that's gonna be our screening room for all the Mallet movies to come.
Damn, you know what, man? I like that. Here in this house, me and my girl bought this house a couple years back. We actually locked in right before COVID, and because of that, we were able to lock in pretty good. Our credit was up there, so we grabbed a small percentage. But 5 bedroom home, 2 bath, and one of the things was one of the rooms I had started converting it into like I was calling it my media room because I have my record player, my DVD, my VCR.
Oh,
And she
cool.
was like, I think it was like 2 years after we had bought the house. She was like, you know what? She said, I'm gonna get you a shed. And I was like, a shed? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy you a shed so you can put all your stuff back there. So we got a 12 by 16.
Mhm.
And I kid you not, like I'll send you photos, bro. It looks like a video store. Like
Wow,
I have old
dude,
Blockbuster shelves. I have old Video Central metal shelves. I have the
very cool,
Blockbuster rug. I have the Blockbuster. I mean, everything from signs, like the horror signs, the video open, bro. Like, and the same thing, man.
dude.
Unfortunately, I picked up a lot during the years, but during COVID, when a lot of places were closing down, I was buying stuff because I was like, man, I don't
That's
want to
awesome.
put in the trash. So I was buying signs and video store promotionals and all that good stuff, bro. So yeah, I can see where you're going, especially if you're going to be out there wanting to make it a class act. I even got a theater shares. I got one here, but I got like a theater closed down right after COVID, so I bought a bunch of shares. I have them back there, and
Dude, that's so awesome, man. I'm peanut butter and jealous, bro. And you know what's cool is I noticed that anybody that is a true horror lover just has to do this, bro. Like this is in us that, you know, what we were you the kid? Were you? I guarantee you, we were the same kid to where when you would either go with your parents or your friends to a mom and pop VHS store or Blockbuster Hollywood Video when you were a kid, that you went straight to the horror section and
oh
you would
yeah,
just stand there and stare at all the awesome covers.
bro. I'm still that kid, bro. Believe me, man. I go to these shops here in town, and I support it, man. I'm local. I'm buying but I'm like, dude, I got a lot better stuff in my place, bro. Like I see these shops, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but if they were to see my place, they'd be like, damn, dude. Like my kids go over there. we have this thing where my kids come over and it's like, hey, Dad, can we get a movie? And it's like the old days, dude. Go in the Blockbuster. We'll go in the back, grab some movies, come back inside the house and watch them, man. So it gives us that little nostalgia.
That is so cool, brother. Yeah, we love it like that too, man. And that's our family nights as well. So it sounds like we're on the same path.
Oh yeah, bro. The only things you're making movies, and I'm gonna be able to watch them, so it works out pretty good, man.
Very cool.
Man, as a matter of
Awesome.
fact, I'm gonna gift you something, dude. I'm gonna send you something. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy, dude. Just to put on there. That way, every time you put it on there, I'll see it. I'll be like, hey, man, that's my piece right there. But
Oh man, yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, dude.
I
Appreciate that.
can appreciate that, bro. And it's like I'm gonna show you that I made this old sign,
Mhm.
and it's for my MMA podcast. But I'm gonna change the logo on it. But it lights up, and I got that from an old shop. And
Wow.
I had my buddy redo the whole sticker because I told him, and I said, man, I wanna. Can you get a screen and do all this? And he says, bro, it's a sticker, bro. I'll take it off and I'll put a whole new one. And when he did that, I was like mind blown. I was like, damn, dude, like,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah. And then this wasn't a video store shop. It was an old TV repair shop, but it was so beat up that I was like, man, you know what? I wasn't gonna be able to save it, so I just redid the whole thing.
That's sick, bro. That's what you got to do, man. Just be a little creative with some stuff. I mean, sometimes I'll find stuff online and I'm like, oh man, it's chipped, it's cracked, and I'm like, but wait, I'm
Yeah,
just looking at it wrong.
yeah.
Like I know how to do all this cool stuff, and I was like, I can make something work. And yeah, you don't see those imperfections, man, when you put some love on it.
No, not at all, man. Now, of course, man. I mean, this movie, Mallet. I mean, the pre-orders are still going on. So if people are interested, they can go to malletmovie.com, like it says above, right?
Yeah. Just go to malletmovie.com, man. It's very simple. When you go there, there's only been a few people confused, but it says donation. It's just the way that PayPal lets us set up the way that we can take the payments
Right.
easiest. But yeah, so it's like $20 if you're in the US, it's $35 if you're anywhere overseas. I think they put a $50 option on there, but there's no reason for anybody to click the $50 button. It doesn't get you anywhere extra. Of course, a few supporters have just donated for the hell of it. But yeah, so it's 20 for US, 35 for anywhere overseas, and people can get their movie before it actually drops. So anybody that pre-orders is getting a signed copy for one,
Nice.
and they're going to get it the very last week of October before it drops. So pre-orders are going to be the people who see it first.
No, for sure. You see, and one of the things you mentioned, man, because of course it's $20 postage paid, right?
Yeah. Postage is
Okay.
included, of course, and and everything's coming from Dean headquarters, man. It's come from Dean's Haunted Mansion, so it's a lot of work hand signing and shipping all these ourselves, but it feels like we're getting to put a little bit of a personal touch on it,
Right.
and that's what people are paying a little bit extra for. So
No, for sure, man. And I mean, of course, they get to support, make this happen and get you going for the next one. As you said, the part 2 and the part 3 are going to be coming soon.
Yeah, so with all the money from pre-orders so far, it's just going right back into the movie, man. I haven't touched a dollar of it. I don't plan on touching a dollar of it. I plan on putting it all back into manufacturing more copies, putting money into the next movie. So the next movie, like I said, this first movie, I did all the jobs myself. So if I had to put a number on it, you could say that I feel like the budget's around $500,000. This next film, I'm going to do all the same jobs, except I'm going to hire a few people. I'm going to pay my actors more, and I'm going to pay for some locations for, the first movie was shot at places that I own. The second movie is not going to be shot at places I own. So I'll have to pay for places and permits and stuff like that, man.
Right.
So yeah, the next film is going to be a bigger budget and a lot scarier, a lot bloodier. And Mallet is just 10 times more fierce, and the body count's probably going to be triple.
Damn.
So,
Nice,
yeah.
You see, man, and let me ask you, because of course you do have a business. You have a haunted house that you're going to be getting to work on it within what is it, next month?
Sorry, brother, I lost you there.
No, you're fine. As far as the haunted house that you have, I mean, that's one of your businesses. So when you go out there, was that part in the movie?
Yeah, so I had to have that in there, bro. when I was writing the script, I said, you know what? I got to incorporate Dean's Haunted Mansion into this somehow.
Oh yeah.
And I did, and it looks so beautiful in the movie, the way that it's shot. And the coolest thing is when you have full rights to film somewhere and you own the place and like it's your ball game, bro, you don't got to worry about like anything. You really get in your element, man. And it looks incredible in the movie. For people that can't go to Dean's Haunted Mansion, they're gonna get to see it in some high detail. They're gonna love it. And in the movie, without giving too much away, you could say that Mallet, every villain has their own lair, right?
Right.
Well, you could say that Dean's Haunted Mansion is Mallet's lair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice, bro.
So,
and I gotta ask you, bro, because a lot of times, I mean, when you're an artist, your music, I'm sure it came from life experiences, from your own fears, your own ambitions. Mallet, does that come from like stuff that you were like, man, I mean, afraid of, or I mean, what happened with that? How did that come about?
That's a good question, man. Really, I've just always had a pretty crazy imagination. Like I said, I know horror films. I know what I love about them. I know what I don't like. And when I sit down to write any movie, I try and not watch any movies for a few weeks leading up to that process. I try not to listen to any music while I'm writing it. I just basically want to be inspired by my own thoughts and nothing else, because I don't want people to watch my movie and say, oh, that reminds me of this movie, or, so I really go to a different place. And I think that there are some thoughts that maybe, transferred there to the paper and to the screen. But the coolest thing about Mallet, besides the fact that he does have this fierce presence, is he's a real life situation. So when you watch the movie, you'll say, man, anybody could become a Mallet. Anybody could become this guy. It just takes a broken, shattered individual that's at the end of their rope that has just had enough. And the only thing that can make them feel better is their own insanity. And and embracing that, and embracing madness is a terrifying thing, bro. And I think it's so well conveyed. And something else we haven't talked about is my kids are starring in this fucking movie.
Oh wow, bro.
Like, like my oldest son plays Mallet, bro.
No way.
My oldest son plays Mallet, and it's so crazy because not only did he kill it, it's his first movie ever. You wouldn't know it. Like when you watch Mallet, you're gonna be like, yo, this is a seasoned killer. And then when you find out that it's a teenager playing him, you're just gonna fall out of your chair.
Wow, bro. Now, I mean, I know when making the movie, it's all business. Did you lock in your son for a contract, bro? Were you like, hey, you got to make these 3 films, or how did that work, man?
It's funny, man, is I'm such a businessman. I did do that. I make everybody sign a contract. Hell, my mailman's probably got a contract with me at some point. But a lot of people, they will say things to me occasionally like, oh, do I got to sign a contract? Just joking around because they know how I am. But so my sons, I mean, they got a contract, but that was mainly because I told them I wanted them to understand that they were going to get paid from this movie for the rest of their lives. I made a deal with them that each of them get $1 for every DVD sold for the rest of their lives. And as the DVD goes down in popularity, which means I barely would get anything there, obviously, right?
Right.
But, at the end of the day, man, I wanted them to have, they put 6 months of work in just like I did. I wanted them to be able to be proud of the project and also know like, oh, wow, man, I did something that's actually, I can see like royalties coming in. And so far, I mean, they've each made a couple grand. So they're like super happy, dude. Like they're young as fuck. So Yeah, they're stoked, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I know. I was reading this thing with one of the WWE wrestlers, and they were talking about how in the beginning they had a contract, and he says, "Man, in the beginning, every time we sold media, we sold the P." He's like, "We were making like a couple thousand a year.
Yeah,
Every 3 months, we would get like an $8,000 check." And he says that when the streaming came on, he said, "Man, we were like making $200, 100 something dollars." So yeah, but that's cool that the fact that they have. I mean, for me personally, if you were to tell me like, hey, you know what, every DVD that sells, you're gonna make $1, man, I'm gonna be pushing sales, bro. I'm gonna be out there like,
yeah.
like check out this movie. So
Well, I figured it was fair too because my youngest son, he plays Tyler, who is the lead in the film, and then my oldest son plays Mallet, who's the lead in the film. And I'm like, the film can't be made without you guys. And in a normal situation, the studio would be saying, okay, you're going to get paid X amount of dollars. You're going to be on set this amount of days for this long. And since that wasn't the situation, they basically worked for free
yeah,
up until this point.
right.
Um, so, and the way we do it, is like every 3 months they'll get a royalty check for the rest, for the life of the film. And I think there's a little clause in there, like when I sell wholesale to like, because we do have it's going to be in like 7 to 10 stores in like Alabama and Georgia. There's a little clause in there, like when we sell at the store, we sell it dirt cheap. So,
Yeah.
like the royalty changes a little bit for that. But as long as people come to the home website to buy the film for the duration of its lifetime, that deal stands for them. So,
Nice, man.
yeah.
No, yeah, and of course the fact that they get to star in their first film, I mean that's going to be priceless, man. That's something they can go back to and be like, hey, this is where it started. This is where that opportunity came. But man,
Yeah.
because of that, let me ask you: are your kids interested in filming? I mean, are they like, man, I want to keep doing these?
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like I think probably every day since we wrapped part one, they've been saying, "Can we start part two? When do we start part two?" Even just like an hour ago, dude, before we started this interview, my oldest son was like, I'm ready to suit up," and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "You gotta chill." I was like, I'm ready too. It's really all I can think about. But I said, unfortunately, we got to get through haunt season with the haunted house.
Yeah,
I let me make it through the rest of this year, bro. I am writing part two.
right.
So like writing part two, as far as I'm concerned, it's in production as we speak because, when I'm writing the film, dude, I'm not just writing like a normal script. Like I'm putting my cinematography notes in there, like how I want to shoot each thing. That way, when I walk on set to shoot this, I know where I'm going to be for every single shot, already. And I mean, that cuts out a lot of work right there.
No, for sure, man. Now, of course, I mean, being a fan of horror, obviously, man, myself, when I had seen this, I was like, you know what? I saw the trailer and I said, okay, you know what? Like, I like the fact that it caught my attention. Obviously, I like the lighting that was on there, the music. I mean,
Thank you.
I can only wait. I'm definitely gonna be ordering a copy, man. I'm gonna see. Is there a way to order 2 copies on there?
Yeah, there definitely is. Let me talk to Alicia about that because we've had people do that. Um, and I think there's a way to avoid the extra shipping cost.
Right.
So if there is, I'll send that to you for sure. I'll just
Okay,
send it to
cool,
you in a
man.
message later. But yeah, man, you mentioned the lighting, and a lot of people have mentioned that. And now that the film is on DVD. I've taken this DVD and I've watched it on like 20 different DVD players and video game systems and all these different things. And the lighting just looks good on almost every single TV. It rarely changes except when you get to a very big movie type screen, like something you would see at a film festival.
Right.
And it doesn't change in a bad way when you get that big, but it definitely it changes a little bit where things look a little more saturated. But you know bro, when you watch this thing on a CRT,
Yeah.
it looks incredible, dude. It looks like it's on VHS.
No, you see, and then that's what I was gonna say, man. They might give you that little cake that people want to see anyway, right? So they'll get
It
to check out
does. Yeah, and that's how I like watching a lot of horror films. I mean, you know I have so many horror DVDs, and sometimes I'm just like, damn, man, I wish this was on VHS. But you know, that's one option you have, is to watch it on a CRT. But I've also watched it on, you know, a 4K 50-inch flat screen, and it looks beautiful. So
No, for sure, man. I mean, of course, like I mentioned that my media room in the back, man, and I've got like one side it's all DVDs, the other one's VHS.
that's so
I've got
cool.
laser discs, and I still have a laser disc player,
What?
man. But I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched those in years. I just
Yeah,
they're wall art, you know. I have them up on the wall, and they look cool, and it's just a lot of horror pieces, man.
yeah,
But man, I mean, I want to thank you, bro, for jumping on this. I mean, I know you're out there with family. Appreciate your time. Um,
absolutely, man.
yeah, for those watching this now or later, bro, I mean, of course, I mean, they can go to malletmovie.com, but where can they follow you guys on social media?
Yeah, it's pretty much hunting the dead across the board, man. You know, that's my YouTube channel, and that's what I'm on, like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. But then you got the Mallet Facebook page, you got malletmovie.com, they'll take you to order the movie. So just if you're ever questionable about it, man, just put in Jody S Dean or Dean's Haunted Mansion, and I'll pop up. I'm out there.
No, and I'm definitely. I know the haunted house I had read on your profile where you mentioned this. So I was kind of curious about that, man. When you came to making that, getting into that business, I mean, of course, obviously you wanted to have fun with it, but you know, I mean, what do you think about from the first time you opened till now, man? I mean, what's changed, or what are you changing?
Yeah, man, dude. That's something I wanted to do since I was a kid. I've been obsessed with haunted houses and horror films. I opened it up a few years ago. Surprisingly, I had bought it 3 months before we opened the first year, and I did a lot of work in 3 months, got it ready just in time. And it was a huge success. Our second year, man, it was really, really, really good. Had billboards, radio promotion,
Damn.
just absolutely knocked it out of the park. This year I've invested, like, you know, probably like close to like 100 grand in new props and decorations and really cool, crazy stuff. And, you know, each year the plan is to step it up, whether it be new characters, new sets, new ways that we scare people. You know, it's one of those businesses that I invested in, saying to myself, if it does good, good. But if it doesn't, I'm so passionate about it, I won't be upset. And it just
Right.
so happens to be that it's met my expectations, business wise, passion wise. And, you know, seeing something come to life, dude, that you've dreamed about all your life,
Yeah.
like with this movie, with the Dean's Haunted Mansion, it's the most fulfilling shit. You know, I say it all the time. I don't really know where to go, you know, from here. Like, there's nothing else I want more other than to just keep reliving this feeling now over and over.
Yeah, bro. No, man. I mean, it's inspiring to see you doing what you enjoy, man. Because that's one of the things I've always told everybody. It's like if you love what you do, man, you'll never work a day in your life. And of
It's true.
course, you know, you're having fun
Yeah.
with that. I love it. You know, I hope to be there someday, man. I don't think I'll get into films, but I've been you know, getting into voice acting. I've been doing a couple of perks, getting out there, man, just to kind of help out with my podcast. I mean, I figure why not? You know, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, it's inspiring, definitely, man. And I look forward to you know, this release and part 2 and 3, man. I ain't gonna lie, dude. I'm looking forward to them.
Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you, Spider. And yeah, I'm looking forward to people checking this out and seeing where you go as well, too, man. I think you're doing an awesome thing here, and I can't wait to check out more episodes.
No, definitely, man. Of course, thank you for your time. Everybody out there, of course, man, follow the guy on his social media. Go to malletmovie.com, pre-order. As always, you know, this is Spider, the Coming Soon podcast. Till next time, follow up.